When Ahsoka Tano left the Jedi Order, it was a moment that sent shockwaves through the life of Anakin Skywalker. Already teetering on the edge of disillusionment, her departure was the catalyst for a spiraling internal conflict. In an alternate reality, where the Jedi Council's failures and the weight of his own emotions led him down a vastly different path, the galaxy would witness a new chapter of rebellion, one sparked from the ashes of loss and betrayal. After Ahsoka's departure, Anakin's growing sense of betrayal by the Jedi Council deepened. His frustration with their rigidity and inability to understand the complexities of personal connections reached its boiling point. The betrayal didn't only come from them. It was also the systems of Coruscant and the Republic, which he increasingly saw as corrupt and incapable of true justice. The final straw came when he uncovered Grogu, a young and powerful Force-sensitive child, being held and experimented on by shadowy figures connected to both the Republic and unknown factions. Grogu represented innocence and untapped potential, a being who could be shaped by the light or the dark. Rescuing the child became more than an act of rebellion. It was a rejection of the oppressive structures that Anakin felt had ruined the galaxy. In this alternate timeline, his choices led him to desert the Jedi Order. The Council, seeing him as a rogue and a threat, exiled him completely. It was not merely a physical banishment but a symbolic one. The Republic declared him an outlaw, severing his ties to his former comrades, including Obi-Wan Kenobi. To Anakin, it was no different than what had been done to Ahsoka, only this time it was final. Carrying Grogu, Anakin sought refuge in Mandalore. The planet, still recovering from the fallout of various conflicts, was wary of outsiders. Bo-Katan Kryze, the Mandalorian leader at the time, was skeptical of a Jedi arriving in their midst. However, Anakin was no longer a Jedi. His hatred for the Council and his fierce independence resonated with Mandalore's warrior ethos. Over time, Anakin won the trust of the Mandalorians, not through diplomatic maneuvering but by demonstrating strength, honor, and an unyielding determination to protect the weak. Anakin and Bo-Katan formed an uneasy alliance, both recognizing the need for mutual support in a galaxy increasingly dominated by the iron grip of the Empire, which was beginning to rise under Palpatine's machinations. Anakin had pieced together enough to understand that Palpatine's rise was part of a larger scheme, one that played the Jedi and the Republic against each other for his ultimate benefit. With Grogu by his side, Anakin became the figurehead of a Mandalorian rebellion, one that combined the tenacious warrior spirit of Mandalore with the unparalleled force abilities of a former Jedi. The rebellion that emerged from Mandalore was unlike any seen before. Anakin, now fully embracing his role as a leader outside the Jedi framework, used his tactical genius and combat prowess to rally scattered resistance groups. The Mandalorians, under his command, became a united front, blending their ancient traditions with newfound purpose. Grogu, growing stronger in the Force under Anakin's guidance, became a symbol of hope, a beacon for those disillusioned with the Empire's tyranny. Anakin's rebellion posed a unique threat to the Empire. Unlike other insurgent cells that operated in secrecy, his forces thrived on open confrontation. Mandalorian ships became a terror in space battles, their warriors striking with precision and devastating effectiveness. Anakin's personal presence on the battlefield was a game-changer. Wielding his lightsaber alongside Mandalorian shock troops, he became a living legend. His leadership inspired not only the Mandalorians but also countless others across the galaxy who yearned for freedom. Meanwhile, Palpatine watched Anakin's rise with both amusement and concern. The Sith Lord had once planned to mold Anakin into his perfect apprentice, but the Jedi's defection from the Order had taken an unexpected turn. Anakin's potential to disrupt the Sith's plans became a growing threat. Palpatine sent Darth Vader, a figure created from another fallen Jedi in this altered timeline, to crush the Mandalorian rebellion. The irony was not lost on Anakin. He now faced the dark path he might have taken had he remained under Palpatine's influence. Their eventual confrontation was inevitable. On the battle-scarred plains of Mandalore, Anakin and Vader clashed in a duel that reverberated with the echoes of destiny. Mandalorian warriors and Imperial forces fought ferociously around them, but the two figures at the center of the conflict commanded the galaxy's attention. Anakin fought not for the Jedi or the Republic, but for something purer. A vision of a galaxy where power did not corrupt, where innocence like Grogu could thrive without fear. Though victorious in the duel, Anakin paid a heavy price. The effort of defeating Vader left him gravely wounded, and the Mandalorian forces suffered significant losses. Yet, even in the face of such hardship, the rebellion endured. Anakin's resilience, combined with the unwavering spirit of Mandalore, ensured that the flame of resistance could not be extinguished. The galaxy began to see Mandalore not as an isolated warrior culture, but as the heart of a growing movement against tyranny. As Grogu matured, his role within the rebellion grew. Anakin, ever the conflicted teacher, balanced his lessons in the Force with the pragmatic realities of war. The youngling's innate compassion and curiosity tempered Anakin's darker impulses, grounding him when despair threatened to take hold. Together, they became an inseparable force, representing both the pain of the past and the hope for a brighter future. The rebellion spread across systems, uniting diverse factions that might have otherwise remained fractured. From the smugglers of the Outer Rim to disillusioned senators and even some defectors from the Imperial ranks, the Mandalorian rebellion under Anakin's leadership proved that unity could exist outside the Republic's flawed framework. Coruscant, the heart of Imperial power, grew increasingly uneasy as reports of Anakin's successes reached its elite circles. It was in the shadow of the galaxy's greatest betrayal, the rise of the Empire, that Anakin Skywalker found redemption not in the Jedi way, but in the forging of something entirely new. Through Grogu's innocence, Mandalore's strength, and his own determination, he carved a path that defied the expectations of both the Jedi and the Sith. As the Mandalorian rebellion gained traction, the Empire's response grew increasingly brutal. Palpatine, recognizing the danger posed by Anakin's movement, deployed his most ruthless commanders and vast resources to crush the resistance. Star systems that aligned with Mandalore were subjected to blockades, scorched earth campaigns, and widespread propaganda designed to paint Anakin as a deranged warlord. Yet, these efforts often had the opposite effect. Stories of Anakin's leadership and his efforts to protect the innocent spread across the galaxy, inspiring uprisings in regions once thought firmly under Imperial control. Anakin's charisma and relentless drive turned him into a symbol of defiance. The Mandalorians, who had once been fractured and war-weary, thrived under his leadership. The Darksaber, recovered by Bo-Katan, became a rallying point for the warriors of Mandalore. Though Anakin did not claim the weapon himself, he wielded it in critical battles, further cementing his bond with the Mandalorian people. The image of a former Jedi fighting alongside Mandalorians with the Darksaber in hand became an iconic symbol of the rebellion. Grogu, meanwhile, continued to grow in both power and prominence. Under Anakin's tutelage, he learned to wield the Force in ways that balanced his innate empathy with the harsh realities of war. Grogu's presence among the Mandalorians served as a reminder of what they were fighting for. Not merely survival, but a future where children like him could live without fear of exploitation or destruction. His connection to Anakin was deeply personal, almost familial, and their bond became a source of strength for both. As the rebellion expanded, it began to strain the Empire's resources. Anakin's strategic brilliance turned Mandalore into an impenetrable fortress. The planet's terrain and defensive systems, coupled with the Mandalorian warriors' expertise, made direct assaults costly and ineffective. With Anakin leading daring raids across the galaxy, the Empire found itself stretched thin, forced to fight on multiple fronts against an adversary it could not easily pin down. Despite their successes, the rebellion faced significant challenges. The Empire's propaganda machine worked tirelessly to undermine Anakin's credibility. Former allies from his days as a Jedi, such as Obi-Wan Kenobi, were used as tools to sway public opinion. Holo broadcasts showed Obi-Wan condemning Anakin as a fallen Jedi who had betrayed the Republic. Though Anakin tried to steel himself against these attacks, the weight of such accusations took its toll. The specter of his past, coupled with the ever-present temptation of the dark side, made his journey one of constant internal struggle. Palpatine, ever the master manipulator, sought to exploit this turmoil. He attempted to reach Anakin through the Force, taunting him with visions of Ahsoka, Padme, and the family he had lost. Yet, it was Grogu's steady presence that kept Anakin grounded. The child's unwavering trust and affection reminded him of the life he was fighting to build. A life free from the chains of both the Jedi and the Sith. In a bold move, Anakin orchestrated a massive campaign to liberate key systems from Imperial control. Using intelligence gathered from defectors and allied spies, the Mandalorian rebellion targeted supply lines, shipyards, and communication hubs critical to the Empire's operations. These coordinated strikes sent shockwaves through Coruscant, forcing the Emperor to dispatch his most feared enforcers to deal with the uprising. Among them was Darth Vader, freshly repaired after his defeat on Mandalore. The Sith Lord's obsession with destroying Anakin became a driving force behind the Empire's renewed efforts. Vader's relentless pursuit led to a climactic confrontation on the volcanic planet of Mustafar, where Anakin and his forces had launched a daring mission to disrupt Imperial weapons production. The battle was ferocious, with Mandalorians and Imperial forces clashing amidst rivers of molten rock. The duel between Anakin and Vader on Mustafar was a moment of reckoning. Their blades clashed in a storm of sparks and fury, each strike carrying the weight of their respective choices. Vader fought with the cold precision of the Sith, while Anakin, fueled by his belief in the rebellion's cause, channeled a raw intensity that rivaled the fire around them. Though wounded and exhausted, Anakin emerged victorious once again, leaving Vader defeated and retreating into the shadows. This victory came at a high cost. The losses sustained by the rebellion on Mustafar forced Anakin to rethink his strategy. He realized that while direct confrontations could yield significant gains, they also left his forces vulnerable. The rebellion shifted to a more decentralized model, with cells operating independently across the galaxy. This approach allowed them to maintain pressure on the Empire while preserving their resources and personnel. As the years passed, Anakin's influence reshaped the galaxy. The Mandalorian rebellion became a beacon for those seeking freedom, uniting beings of all species and backgrounds in a shared struggle against oppression. Grogu, now a skilled and compassionate leader in his own right, became a bridge between Mandalore and the broader galaxy. His connection to the Force, combined with the lessons learned from Anakin, positioned him as a guiding light for the next generation. Anakin's transformation from a disillusioned Jedi to the leader of a galactic rebellion was not without sacrifice. The weight of his decisions and the burden of leadership often left him questioning his own path. Yet, through it all, he remained steadfast in his commitment to a galaxy free from tyranny. By rejecting both the Jedi Order's dogma and the Sith's lust for power, he forged a new way forward, one defined by hope, resilience, and the enduring strength of those who dared to fight for a better tomorrow.